bounds.
Yo guys, what is going on? It is OJPC here with today's Minecraft video that isn't even a Minecraft video. So, we're going to be having a look at a Gruul Werewolves deck for Magic the Gathering. And this is a budget list, and this is also a list that I got personally from a single draft and a single pre-release from Shadows over Innistrad. Most of the cards come from Shadows over Innistrad, and there's a few exceptions. I think 3 or 4 exceptions to this. But anyway, let's get started with this list. Starting off with the land base, we have 1 game trail, which I opened in a pack, 14 mountains, and 9 forests. It's a pretty simple land base, but we're budget, so you can upgrade to fetch lands while they're still in standard, if you really want to, but I personally think this works perfectly fine. So yeah, if you don't want to purchase Game Trail, you can add a single forest, and instead of it, and have 14 mountains and 10 forests as your land base. Our 1-drops are pretty simple. We have 2 Burn from Within, which is great removal for anything that's indestructible. Cough, cough, Avacyn, cough, cough. And Dual Shot is something that can be sideboarded out. Instead, you don't have to, if your opponent is not playing many earthy creatures, and Village Messenger / Moonrise Intruder is just a great creature. It's a 1/1 for 1 that's haste that can become relevant on turn 2 if your opponent does not have a 1-drop with a 2/2 menace, which is pretty good. It's got evasion and it pumps itself up. Anyway, moving on to the 2-drops, now things get crazy. So we have a lot of stuff covered, but we're going to start with the flip cards and some creatures. So we have Hinterland Logger and Timber Shredder. And it's just a good 2-drop. A 2/1 for 1, a 2/1 for 2 is not terrible. It's still got your 2 power that you need. And if you're really wanting to use it, you can swap it out for more Quilled Wolves or anything of the sort. Uh, it's not completely 100% playable, but we're budget and it is a good werewolf, especially when we get to our pump spells. Trample becomes very, very relevant. Also, Kessig Forgemaster is just straight up amazing creature. Dealing combat damage in this game before dealing damage before combat damage is dealt is just straight up amazing, and dealing 2 damage is just even better. It's a great 2-drop, and I pulled 2, both of them in a draft, and absolutely dominated with him. He was great. Dustwatch Recruiter is another good werewolf, making us on both sides. Being a 2/2 for 2 is not great, but giving us card advantage, especially in green, is good. And when it flips, making our creatures less one less to cast is not completely relevant to us because our curve tops out at 5 and we only have 2 creatures at 5, so but it's still good. It allows us to board vomit, which is not necessarily what we want to do in this deck, but it gives us the option to, and that's always nice. Moving on to Ember Eye Wolf. 2 mana 1/2 with haste is like okay. It's like it deserves to be a common, but that fire breathing though, it gets +2/+0 until end of turn for 2 mana is pretty good. It's really good actually. If you just want to flip something that you've already played, you can just give it +2/+0 and swing in with it, and it will kill most things in the format right now. It's pretty good. Potential in any wolf deck. I was like trying to figure out these numbers, how much I wanted to play him, how much I wanted to see him, and I ended up favoring Hinterland Lager over him just because Lager works so well with our pump spells. But he's a 2-2 for 2, which is alright, it's like pretty good. But then it can pump itself. I mean, it's expensive, but if we really have nothing to do on turn 6, so it's great to make a 6-6 swinging in on turn 6. It's just amazing. Uh, Moving on to Rabid Bite, and this one can be upgraded for another different uh, removal spell. I'll probably edit out the name because it's totally not coming to me, but it's same cost and it's instant, and it gives all our wolves dealing damage to target creature instead of just one. But it's better than the fight effect. It just makes your creature hit the other creature. It doesn't allow the other creature to hit him back, which is always good. It's just always nice. And then we have Roast. I would really love to play more copies of this, but I only have one copy, and I could order more, but it's hovering around $1 right now. It'll probably drop down a lot more. It might raise up. I'm still deciding, but right now I have one copy. I'd love to make more. I mean, siege rhinos. Sometimes that's not nice. You don't like siege rhinos on the battlefield, and for 2 mana you can take care of them. So you can do that. It's pretty good. Magmatic Chasm is actually one of our finishers. I've been playtesting this deck a lot, like, and it's like great. I have like 4 or 5 werewolves on the field flipped, and it's you just completely play that and swing in for at least 20 damage. If you just had one copy of each wolf on the field right now, which is 3 damage, 6 damage, 10 damage, probably 13 damage, and then 16 damage, 15 damage, and then we got our pump spells, which brings it up to 18 damage. That's more than enough on turn 5 or 6 to kill our opponent because they've been weakened already by our quick aggressive ones. So yeah. Next we have Brute Strength. It's great pump spell right now. It's another one of our cards that, in addition to Roast, that is not from Shadows over Innistrad, but it's great. It's just a all-around amazing pump spell. I won several drafts using it, and +3/+1 in trample. It's great. Like, you don't need to give it to your Timber Shredder. You can give it to Flameheart and then use more pump spells, which I will show you in a second. So moving on to the 3 drops, we've got 2 Uncaged Fury. Okay, so this is highly underrated, especially for its cost. It's like, it costs more than it should, but it's okay still. So it gets +1/+1 and double strike at instant speed. So think about this. Not an uncommon play is to play Brute Strength on, say, a flipped branded Howler, giving it 7 power, and then giving it 8 power and giving it double strike. That's 16 damage hurtling at your opponent's face. It's not nice. It's a great card, and even though there are better cards than it, I still love it because of the +1/+1 as well. Next, Convicted Killer. I'm just like, this is okay. It's more of a filler card than anything, but a 2/2 for 3 isn't great, but then it transforms into a 4/4 that doesn't really do anything, but it's still a werewolf, so we're gonna play it, and it's budget. So I love the card. It's worked well. It surprisingly worked well. Even dropping a 2/2 on turn 3 isn't that bad in this deck. It's not that bad. There are better plays that you can make. Cough, cough, Silver Fur, Partisan, cough, cough. But otherwise, it's perfectly fine. So Silver Fur Partisan, I actually have an interesting story. He's hovering around $2 right now, which is okay. It's fair price, but I'm not gonna pay $2 for. I'm not gonna pay $8 for a playset. my friend pulled this in a pack, and he likes investigates, and I like obviously the werewolves, so I traded some investigate cards with him, and I got it. So I have one copy of that. That's why it's in the deck. So every time a werewolf gets targeted on our side of the battlefield, we get a 2/2, which is great. Like even itself, like almost anything in the format. There's only a few board wipes I can think of. Uh, Languish, Flaying Tendrils, and I almost said Drown Soul, but that's out. I'm sure there's one more. 5 mana white, board wipe, sorcery speed. I can't remember it. Destroy all creatures and permanent attacks those creatures. Pretty good, but yeah, those are only few ones I can think of in standard right now. So we're pretty good. Almost all removal is target removal. There's very little board wipe removal, and I don't think you'll find any in your local FNM unless someone's playing control, which they may be. Um, Next we have two copies of Howlpack Wolf, which is 3 for 3. It's pretty good in its standard format right now. You will of course be able to block. I don't know if you want to, but it looks. So 4 and 4 drops, because there's not many of them. We have just combined them all on this one page. And so yeah, we got Pack Guardian. Now you can't look at this card and tell me it's just it's an okay card. A 4/3 for 4 is already good. Flash makes it great. That ability, we're running 24 lands, which is like kind of a lot, but our curve goes up to 5 mana, so we want to make sure we got a mana for that. So we could probably have lands in our hand. So 4 mana for a 4/3 and a 2/2 at instant speed. That's just value. You can't get better than that. It's relatively cheap. I pulled 2 in a pack at my pre-release. It's one of them is actually foil. I actually got a foil Pack Guardian. So yeah. Next we have Gatstaff Arsonists. So again, a lot of people don't play big or have threats this late in the game, so you're pretty much getting a 6/5 menace, which is great. It's just great. Spells are not going to be casted that often, and yeah. So Thornhide Wolves is one of our like cards that you could take out if you want to sideboard it, or if you want to improve it anymore. You can improve cards with it. But I am not going to go over a sideboard because I do not know what your local meta is like. So if a lot of people play control, well, bring in anti-control cards. There's plenty of protection cards. You can splash white for, I don't even know, but you decide on your sideboard on what your local meta is like. Maybe bring in more roasts, maybe bring in more aggressive creatures, or maybe bring in more like big blockers if you're worried about aggro players, because this deck is kind of a slow aggro deck. It's not an aggro deck, but it works as an aggro deck because we got some haste creatures and a lot of 2-drops. So yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. It's not like my normal video at all, but I really couldn't get any survival games or any PvP episodes today. All I got was a hacker report, and that's not very exciting. So yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video, and see you next time. Goodbye.